Hi, welcome to the Pints Polishing Podcast. I'm Marshall. That's Nick. You can find us at hypercleanstore.com. Go over to the HyperClean Specialist group on Facebook. It really is a great place to find Nick, to see what he's all about, and to dive into his brain. That's what we love to do. Listen, Nick, you always comment on people's posts. You're always an active guy on there. Probably even you get to them faster than I do. I eventually get around to them, but boy, you're right there, Johnny, on the spot. What is
Yeah.
your trick, right? Share with it. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Love seeing how
Easy.
you're always
Alert.
in there.
Alerts.
You do the notification alerts, huh? That's the way to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Good point. All right, so I'm diving in. I couldn't wait any longer, so I got to kick off the season. Yes, this is a season in beer.
I'm telling you right now, if it's pumpkin, I'm hanging up.
Don't hang up. It's not pumpkin. It's the sister before pumpkin, and that is Oktoberfest. And definitely started with the one of my favorites, handcrafted in Tulsa, Oklahoma, since 2008. No, I'm not a part of
They
it.
stir it with their hand, or what's that mean in beer lingo? They pour it with their hand. What does it mean?
It's one of those big wooden spoons. That's what it is.
Handcrafted.
Specialty kind of, I like this beer because, Marshall Brewery is the name. So, of course, I'm always going to be fond of it. I do like some of their beers, though, and this is one of their more popular, so I grabbed it to get started.
They got to
ready
have tech
for
issues at that
Oktoberfest.
brewing company. They got to have tech issues at Marshall Brewing. If it's anything like Marshall at hyperCLEAN, they got tech issues.
Tech, hey, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. Oklahoma, we did get Wi-Fi about 4 years ago, so we're doing good. We're doing good.
We got that low-speed Wi-Fi. It still goes. Anyway, buy and sell. I'll go first today. So it's it's really easy to find negative stuff online, but when you find something positive that puts a smile on your face, I think you should share it. So have you seen these new ear implants they give to people that have been deaf their whole life?
Yeah, it is cool.
Man, if you guys haven't, if it just hasn't come across, you got to go see some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Little kids, 15-year-olds, 50-year-olds. It's easy to find negative stuff. We're all guilty of it. We all see it. We're in an industry that's filled with it. I'm going to buy the ear transplant, the inner ear device that they're putting on these people just for the face of the person that hears for the first time. The other thing is this guy made a really funny spoof that he got it installed and they made a commercial and he's like, oh, what's that noise? And the doctor's like, what, is it too loud? He goes, no, my wife's voice. What? Is that how she sounds? Take it off. And I think overall, I don't know how I slipped into this part of the internet or, how it came across, but I'm glad it did. And I think it's easy to find the negative stuff. If you haven't seen this stuff, go check it out. It's pretty incredible, especially some of the little kids and things like that. So little smile on your face to start the podcast as Marty's over there having beer from Marshall Brewing. Yeah. So have one of those and a smile.
Definitely. I watched the one you were talking about where the guy, you probably think it was staged the way it happened, but it was so hilarious. Like the way he let it on. He's like, what is that? No, it sounds like, and he keeps dragging it on. He's like, oh, that's your wife. Oh, how do I turn that off?
Dude. And then he looked at the doctor. He goes, I'm not going to ever believe anything that comes out of your mouth ever again. And he goes, that picture's a lie. You see the smile on that guy's face? There's no way. Dude, I was laughing for like 20 minutes. I know it's stupid, but it is. I mean, you see some of these little kids and, teenagers that have dealt with it, go have a Marshall Brewing Oktoberfest and scan those over for a while. It'll put a little bit of a smile on your face.
Absolutely. So I take it you're definitely not an Oktoberfest guy, right? I mean, just never.
No. I've been to Oktoberfest a few times. I've been, I've gone to some. It's okay. I'm not a big brat guy. That's the thing that gets me about. It's that's
sausage?
Like the main thing.
You don't like big sausages in your mouth?
Here we go. Here we go. Let's don't get canceled. We're live on YouTube.
All right, so I am buying also this week, and I'm buying, and it was almost close, and I was like, boy, I hope you didn't take mine. It was close, right? Because mine is also about positivity, but I'm buying it in a little bit different, right? Like I'm in, but come on, we're only 2 games right now. I get it. Last season was 1-11, and I get it, man. I was a big fan of Prime back in the day. He was incredible. There's a big part of why him and Bo Jackson, right? So I go to college. Never really probably should have played ball in college, but I had to play football and baseball, right? Like, what was I doing, right? Like, because of him, right? Because of Bo Jackson. So it's awesome to see Coach Prime's success. I love how everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. So I'd wanted to kind of put my foot on there before the bandwagon got too full. And
I
at
think
the
it's
same,
already tipped over. The bandwagon tipped over. Okay, let's be honest. I mean, everybody acts like they were a Dion fan from '83. Relax, dude. You know, I think it's been fun to watch.
It's fun to
I don't know
watch.
if that's what
Yeah,
it's fun to watch. I mean,
fun to watch.
he's a likable guy,
He's
and
positive.
yeah, he is very positive. And then I got to root for him. He was a Cincinnati Red at one time. Struggling fan base here for the last 25 years. But yeah, he was a Cincinnati Red for a short period of time. And look, it's great what he's doing. I mean, nobody really cared about Colorado football.
No.
I mean, I don't even think they were relevant since like Rashawn Salam back in the day. They've been irrelevant for literally 2 decades. And so good for them. Boulder's a cool campus, cool area. And I don't know how long he'll be there. So for all you Colorado fans, he might be on to bigger and better things pretty quickly. But I think it's fun to watch. And look,
Yeah.
I don't know how people on the East Coast do it. I think that game didn't finish until like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast.
Didn't matter. They're still watching it. I mean, he's dominating. Dominating.
For those that have never lived on the West Coast, the best thing about the West Coast is sports, because none of them end at midnight. They all end at like 8, 9, 10 o'clock. So when you're younger, you can go out and do something, watch the game. It's now for old guys like you and I, you can get to bed at a reasonable hour and not miss the game. But it's one of the unsung things people don't realize about the West Coast is those East Coast time zone games, especially trying to catch a West Coast game, is brutal.
Or fall asleep on the couch like I did last night, right towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
Those
what was
are
the
actually
Sunday night game last night?
I don't remember. Fell asleep.
I don't remember. I don't remember either. The NFL stinks. I can't believe people watch it. The flags, like I said, you should see me on the text thread with our referee buddy. Dude, these guys are relentless. They just light him up. Another flag, Larry. Way to go, bud. He's not even on the game. He's not even there. They're just all the games. This guy's just getting text messages blasting the refs.
Probably because, geez, I mean, that's the funnest part is just complaining about the refs. So,
it was the Pats last night. Pats and Dolphins.
Oh, that's right. I did. We got to watch the lefty. I really enjoy watching the lefty, and I like the way they run their offense. That coach always cracks me up too. He sprints in at halftime. He tries to play with people. Like he's an intellectual guy that doesn't care about anybody. Like
I think he went to Yale, didn't he?
Something like that. I mean, super smart guy.
Yeah, he's a funny dude.
All right, so big thanks. Speaking of funny, I checked the mail the other day. That was funny to see how much stuff was in there.
People don't realize how big of a conversation this is at side of HQ is to get Marty to walk 3 feet to the mailbox. So there's a little insight.
30 feet. Come on.
Sorry, I left the 0 off there. So it's exactly 6 paces from the door.
But Cayman Smith, man, congratulations on your graduation from Auburn University. B, thank you so much for the photo and showing us that you got your vet all hooked up. Awesome job, man. Grabbed some products and cleaned up his vet. I completely missed the September 2nd graduation in case you were hoping we would send you a gallon, for your graduation gift. But maybe we'll get that out for a better late than never. So Cayman sent us a letter, and thanks so much, man.
Yeah, it's one of those things people don't realize. We get a lot of different interaction that's positive. You can't always share it. But when you sent me that last week, it's really cool. Basically sent his graduation photo and a letter saying, love your products. And so, man, thanks for the support. And that kind of stuff goes a long way for us.
All right, so let's get over to the specialist group because we got some problems, right? So, got a couple of things we got to work through, talk through. Billy, he's got an issue with wheel weights, ceramic coating the wheels. Now he's got to put
Yeah.
some wheel weights on, and he can't
I thought
get.
you said he was had an issue because he owned a Miata. I didn't know we were going this route. So Billy, sorry, I'm a little thrown off. Thought he was going to talk
Always,
about your other issues.
always past issue number one is what you mean, right? Billy knows we love him and he's laughing
Yeah,
at the
for
same
sure.
time.
For sure.
So he's got some wheel weights. I told him, listen, and maybe Marshall's is the way to go. I suggested he grab a cold beer, he take a drink, and he think about what he should proceed with. That was my suggestion. Everybody else had pretty much taken it right. Need to go ahead and buff down the wheels at this point.
Yeah. So you got, I think Brian, who we had on the episode, I think he talked about a scratch pad, to kind of scratch up that area a little bit, meaning scuff up that coating a little bit, see if you can't get it to adhere. I think somebody else brought up some wheel weights they've had some success with. But here's the rule of thumb, and this is just kind of the unfortunate part. Number one, most wheel weights are put on horribly. Most tire places, rim places don't care. We are detailers. We care how our rims look. So you got to have them balanced and coat them afterwards. Billy's finding that out the tough way. I think we've all found it out the tough way once or twice in our careers. And when this happens, I would just polish that small little area and then reapply after the weights went on. But largely, I think it's a pretty outdated way that they go about, balancing wheels and all that kind of stuff. It's really still pretty sloppy in a lot of areas. You got to find a real specialized shop to do it in a real professional way. So don't envy that, but stuff happens. And, I think they said they figured it out, which is good.
All right. So have you experienced massive clear coat damage? What is it like inside of Vegas world? Because here in Oklahoma, as we move into the next question, and this was Randy having, which evidently clear coat, massive damage, a lot of issues. We don't really, ironically funny, the only times that I remember of seeing a large amount of damage on clear coat or paint was in two ways. The white Toyota Corolla guy that always went through a touchless car wash and never waxed their car because they always felt, hey, I'm gonna keep
Graphene.
No, this was way before then.
I
mean,
know.
they didn't even.
I know.
They didn't even wax their car, but because it was white, they didn't think that it would have the damage that a black car would. And the other was back in the day, Explorer had the Sport Track. You remember that? Yep. Always, for some reason here, I saw these like star patterns that would appear. Like it was almost like the clear coat was fine, but that the paint, the very base of the paint would start to crack. Those are really the only two common things around here. But Randy was dealing with some heavy clear coat damage, massive issue. What do you see there? How do you handle it?
Yeah, GM, Toyotas, Teslas. I mean, if people don't take the right care of them, I keep telling everybody this. I've detailed cars in what you would call the Rust Belt, is where I grew up. I've never seen the kind of damage that Phoenix, Vegas, Inland Empire of California, Palm Springs, that kind of area as well. The sun damage, man, people just don't realize. I would much rather detail in the Rust Belt with today's technology as far as like how the cars are built. A lot less rusting. You remember those old Toyota trucks that would get rusted through the bed? If they just had one little speck of salt got on them, the whole bed would just disintegrate. We've largely fixed that issue in a lot of ways. Clear coat takes a lot of damage out here. I mean, the sun is so harsh. We see it biggest with those manufacturers. BMW, Audi, those kind of cars stand up a little bit better, but nothing out here really stands up. I mean, you don't protect your car, and you got a car that goes unprotected for 10 years. Even when we visited San Diego, some of my extended family from my wife was the same way, right? Car always sits outside. Yeah, man, it's 80 and sunny, but it's always sunny in San Diego where they live. bunch of Toyotas, Nissans getting hammered. You could start to already see the oxidation setting in. Maybe if it was an older car, oxidation had already set in. It's no joke. I mean, the sun out here is pretty hard. You know, GM black, those kind of cars really take a beating, and we see a lot of clear coat failure.
Once that's happened, is there any remedy that a detailer can do with some compound and a pad? Is this straight to the body shop? Can we sand it? I mean, with the Sport Track, there was no way. I told people all the time, listen,
you already had crow's feet. It was done.
Yeah, I knew I couldn't do it. So,
the big thing out here is we just had a Bentley from, I think it's 5 years old, less than 10,000 miles on it, been sitting outside. The trunk lid and the roof and the hood are all in clear coat failure. And this is the exact conversation I had with the person. Hey man, we can make it look glossy again. We have no problem, compounding and polishing those out. We'll put a ceramic coating, but let's be clear. You're only delaying the inevitable. The inevitable is once you have heavy oxidation setting in, we absolutely as detailers can make it look better. Now, Randy's post, that was not the case. You'll make it look a little better, but that's a repaint situation. If you see like that graying oxidation on or clear coat failure on black cars, of course you can start to stem the tide by polishing that off and whatever, putting a coating on it. But you just have to be honest. Hey, we're putting a Band-Aid. Maybe I can get you through another year, another couple years if you're just only going to keep the car for a little bit. But once that heavy oxidation has basically broken down the clear coat, it's just a matter of time at that point. But we can absolutely do something to help in the moment. Not everything's helpable, right? Not everything is fixable, excuse me. And the reality is you just got to be honest. And if you don't know, say you don't know. Hey, I can get this off, but I don't know how long it's going to last. That's okay. These are the incidents where a lot of guys get themselves in trouble with the over-promising and under-delivering part of things. Just be upfront. And if you don't have the knowledge, don't play like you have the knowledge, because you're going to have a real pissed-off customer for sure.
Yeah, good point. All right, this was a phone one I like to see from Brent. We can all respect it. For anybody that has definitely seen those posts where, people are saying, hey, if you've got a friend who owns a small business or something like that, right? Like, so Brent made a post showing the truck that his buddy has him detail ever since he got the truck. Yeah. I started there, right? And I just go, awesome. I love it that your buddies, you two support each other, right? Like, cool, yep. I'm in. So he's a cleanse, bug, slick, revive, glass cleaner every time that this truck comes in. And so, Brent, man, I just want to say that's awesome. I love that you take care of your friend's truck, right? First of all.
And again, consistency is the key. Mm-hmm. You maintain, I believe that was a GM black truck. No better way to take care of that truck than to do what? Take care of the truck consistently and regularly. And we gloss over it, but the way to stem off oxidation in these tougher areas is to take care of the car. We just don't oftentimes talk enough about it. So I'm glad when we see those types of posts as well.
All right. Martin had a question. Love this too, Martin. I love this. Picked up a generator and now wants a compressor specifically for your favorite tool, which he calls out in the post. He wants to get a Tornador, right? So he's ready to get a little spinny tool, wants to know if he should get a compressor with 2 tanks or 1. I think the key here is you need volume, Martin. Those are going to blow through a ton of air. If you can have room for 2, awesome, go for it. That would be great. But yep. Either way, if they're both small tanks, doesn't matter if you got 2 or 1, really, you're never going to stay up with it. Those tools blow a lot of air out. You need to get as large a compressor that you can fit into it looked like a van, right? I think he had in there.
I say it all the time. When it comes to air compressors, get the biggest one that fits wherever you're putting it, right? You can never buy a big enough air compressor when you're moving air around. Tornador, straight air tools, doesn't matter. Whatever's the biggest one that can fit in your setup, you better buy it. Plain and simple. I mean, that's what it comes down to with air compressors.
So I saw, plenty of us have seen these type of posts. you and I have seen them. I just got to tie it into this moment because it's ironically kind of part of it, right? Like, he needed to get a generator, which is great. I'm excited that he took that step out because, right, many people wonder, which he would have had to have done. I did at one point in time, had to ask the customer or have that discussion with the customer if I'm a mobile detailer of using their electricity, using their water. Now, most of the time, people would just say, and they would ask me, right? This was also 20 years ago. Let's put that into perspective, right?
Yep.
Mobile detailing now is much more mainstream. Most people have heard of it and will even ask for it. Back then, they didn't really ask. And so when I would show up, the majority of them would just ultimately ask me, do you want to use ours? And no. Once I finally got my generator,
Yep.
once I finally was able to do it, no, I would have rather used mine because we would stay in our process and everything would be great. But, if they had water and my water tank was low, sometimes I didn't mind bumming some water. But it's kind of a no-no, isn't it? Like, if you're going to be a business, right, you really shouldn't be taking people's water or taking people's electricity. And he's wanting to know, this is that question. And how do I talk to people, or should I talk to people? I didn't.
Yeah. I mean, look, with as many competitors as you have now in mobile, which you didn't always have, right? It wasn't as mainstream. I'd say you got to get a tank, you got to get a generator. It's a no-brainer now. If you're going to start out the other way, just know you're going to have the conversation. You're going to have to figure out a way to put it into your presentation to them. Hey, when we come out, we're going to be hooking up to your electric. We're going to be hooking up to your water. Hey, some people are probably not going to give you any headache about it, but are you going to get some pushback? Maybe. Are they going to look at you as a little less professional than the other guy that has all that stuff? Yeah, probably. To say it doesn't matter, I don't think it doesn't matter. I mean, like you said, you want to always appear as professional as you can. And so having your own power, having your own water out here, you can't really bum water. We have really hard water. You could really have a whole host of problems. It's just not something you can do out here. I mean, the water's so bad and needs to be so filtered to wash a car. It is what it is. We never even really had the option. Not that I would have taken it. From the very beginning, I had a tank and a generator. But the bottom line is, there's guys that go the other route, but you got to realize there's a professional component to all this. Is it better just to wait a few months, save up, and get what you need? That's going to have to be a call everybody makes.
Sometimes I felt a little odd sticking my foot inside their flower bed when I was trying to reach back through the bushes to get into the water. There's just some times where you go,
Well, it doesn't
maybe
feel right.
not.
I mean, let's just be honest. Even when you were doing it, it didn't feel right. So, you have these times that, everybody does things their way, and that's perfectly fine by me. But you also have to realize, man, this is what it is. It's a professional business. If the plumber came over and said, hey, do you have a plumbing fitting? And the homeowner would be like, well, I thought that was your job. You'd find it weird. And so whatever it is to run your business, you should probably have it in your setup.
All right. So Adam posted he had a Z06. He's got it dialed in. It looks awesome. And, made the statement inside of the post that the owner wasn't kind to the paint. I just go, I wonder if we could put a owner type as the most unkind to paint. Who would it be? I think for me, I've got to stay, and it's so odd, but I'm going to stay in that Toyota Corolla. Just that guy just never takes care of, they'll wash it, but they never care about anything else. But what is ironic about Toyota Corolla guy, and this is the Toyota Corolla guy in the back in the day. I haven't been around a new Toyota Corolla guy, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know the new generation. But the old guy, man, he was the one that had the drapery on the seats.
Yeah.
So this was a guy you would have loved to buy the car from because the inside was always immaculate. Nothing ever got on it, but he always destroyed the outside because only thought, I run it through the car wash and I'm good. Never thought about protection or anything else. And
so I would say there's two people in that camp. Toyota and Honda, those seem to be people that just want reliable vehicles. They just want them to run. It's a point A to point B for a lot of people. Now, I know Toyotas have gotten up there in pricing now. Maybe that's changed a little bit. But I think those customers that were just buying dependable vehicles seem to take care of them a lot worse because they're just worried that the engine gets them to point A to point B. They seem to run their tires a little bit more bald. They never clean out the barrels of their wheels, those kind of things. So I would say you could group those, high efficiency, always turn on when you go out to turn them on guys, whatever cars those are going to be the people that usually take the least care of the paint, but most likely to see a lot of damage. Corvette would be up there. There's some Porsche 911s I've seen in really bad shape because the guy kept it forever and never washed it properly. I think it could go to a lot of people, but I think those really dependable vehicles that people buy because they want it to go 300,000 miles, those Toyota, Honda Accord in my life has had some pretty wretched owners when it comes to taking care of the paint. So I'd put it as a group of like Honda, Toyota, those kind of guys.
All right. Let's do some how-tos, right? This will be a fun little part where we blow through and have little jokes and have some discussion on some how-tos, right? So how to get tire shine to stay longer. This is something I've seen people asking, right? How to get tire shine to stay on longer, okay? So first off, right, we got to say how to get tire shine to stay on longer. Well, you got to clean your tires. There's a lot of us, though.
And I mean real clean.
Yeah.
Real clean.
And you're right, real clean. But there's a lot of us, which I have done. I'm sure you have too. We have gone, well, maybe I don't need to clean the tires this time. And we just go put more tire shine on. Sure. And we just keep trying to put more tire. But that's not the answer. Really, the key answer is 100% clean. So your TRX full strength, your TRX 1-to-1, 1-to-2.
I'd probably use TRX straight or TRX 50/50. Now, this is specifically talking about getting my tire shine to last, as long as I can. You're going to get a clean tire at 4-to-1 TRX. Is it like, bare bones? It's down to that pure rubber. I don't know. You got to see the condition of your vehicle. But I'd use a stronger dilution of TRX, and I've shared this before. Take something like mineral spirits on a rag and wipe where you're going to put the dressing. I mean, that's a harsh solvent. Take a solvent and really clean that surface and then apply Ultra Dress. That is going to be the exact way to get the longest tire shine. Now, again, most of us just want a clean tire and put some dressing on, right? But there's a way to take this up a level to get yourself, an extra week out of the tire shine or whatever.
All right. So how to clean polished aluminum wheels without having to polish afterwards.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you what I believe on polished aluminum. A, don't buy them. I don't even think they look good. So there's my first tip. Secondly, I think the number one thing is to just use soap. Just use a pH neutral soap and a little bit of elbow grease. I think that's the safest way. Of course, you can cut TRX down 10-to-1, something like that, to give yourself a little cleaning power. But I honestly have always just used soap. I mean, aluminum was something I didn't want to be charged with having to repolish. So I always just went the safest route and just used some soap and let it fall where it falls. Again, my number one tip is don't buy those wheels. But the reality is I just use soap.
I've used Fuego. I don't any reason why I couldn't, right? Like, we're pH neutral.
No, it's pH neutral.
Yeah, we don't have anything.
Not all iron removers are. So be very cautious when you say, oh, they said to use an iron remover. Majority are not pH neutral. They're very acidic. So you could have a real problem there, and you could really etch up some wheels. You could absolutely use Fuego. I'm just saying my tried and true method to keep me out of trouble has always just been using soap.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that we're seeing, since you wanted to specifically mention about pH neutral iron decon, is the people that are putting out more ceramic based soaps that are foaming and Well, they're not really pH
Yeah,
neutral, right? That'll be for a whole nother when we do the deep dive on ceramic snow. That will be interesting to talk through. Okay, so maybe you haven't dealt with this. I have. Not fun. How to remove spilled paint, right? Somebody spilled
oh,
paint on the interior of a car.
I actually have.
Not fun at all. Not fun at all.
My next door neighbor here at the shop, when they first move in, spilled epoxy paint inside their SUV for the flooring.
Mm-hmm.
Funny thing is, when you spill paint, you know what you should do? Go to the website for that exact paint and they'll tell you how to remove it. So to remove a spilled epoxy flooring, we use Dawn dish soap and it got it right off. And I didn't get that from my knowledge. We literally went to the site, scrolled through a bunch of stuff. Hey, if you spill it, here's what works. We used it, came right off. That's what I would tell everybody to do. Go track down that paint. And I guarantee you they have somewhere on there. This is what you should do if you spill it on your carpet in your house or whatever.
Good call, because the amount of solvents that we tried to attempt to use and the amount
Yeah, I know.
it's brutal.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's brutal.
And then when I found out it was Dawn dish soap, I was pissed. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
All right, so we've seen it a couple times. It's nothing big here, but I have seen some cars that got cement on them, right? So how to get cement off of a truck, off of a car, it's really going to depend on how much, right? If it's caked on and it's been on there for a long time, it's probably beyond what a detailer should worry about. There are some, solvents. There are some mineral spirits that you can begin to break that down if it hasn't been on there for too long. Have you dealt with cement dried on cars?
We maybe have had a few things on the bottom of a car. I've never dealt with some splatter that we see shared on social media where it's all over, everywhere and there's concrete hardened everywhere and all that kind of thing. So I look at this and I say, sometimes you got to know when to send that down the road. That'd be my first thing. Again, if you're hard up for work and you want to help somebody out, then you got to dive into this. There's something called Citrol 266 or Citrol 66 or something like that. I forget the name of it. That'd be a place I would start. Hard to find sometimes. Mineral spirits. I mean, even some paint thinner. Those types of bases. But what you're going to be doing probably is allowing things to soak more than you are rubbing it off.
Mm-hmm.
And you could get into some real trouble here. The other thing is to remember, if it's bad enough, you should be talking about an insurance claim. Really look at your customer and say, truthfully, man, you need to make an insurance claim here. You got a real problem. Maybe we can make this. And I'm talking about the severe cases we've seen. Some guys really chancing a lot of things. But hey, man, if it's worth it, try it. But know that the first thing you're going to have to do is something that can soak in. You're going to have to soften that stuff up. And it could be days and days and days and days and days worth of work.
And a lot of the times, if you're trying to get that stuff to soften, well, using it on the paint is one thing. There's a lot of vehicles that have plastic. There's a lot of places that have this plastic that you're going to be trying to soak, and those will not survive. They won't.
Yeah. And by the way, some of that stuff's just orderable. Order it from Ford or Chevy or whatever, pop them off and replace them. Again, that's why you would kind of say, hey, you got a $500 deductible. I can't see any of these jobs being below $1,000, with the amount of time on some of the stuff we've seen. It may be worth going through their insurance. Who knows?
Yeah, good one. All right, last how-to, and that's how to handle the price objection, specifically around ceramic coatings. I find this to be interesting, right? Like, this was just a general question that we saw out there. I immediately go, well, how to handle it, first of all, would be offering multiple, right? Like, instead of just, here's your big ticket, scares the people, I can't handle their objection. Well, the first off would be to have some different alternatives. I have a feeling where you're going to go, and it's going to be around, better ask some better questions at the beginning.
Yeah. And look, I'm a big fan of, maybe you have a 1, 3, and 5 year, maybe you have a 1, 2, 3, 5 year in our system. make sure you understand what package are you trying to fit the most people in. It's usually your middle package, right? It's the middle of the road package. It's not your lowest end. It's not your highest end. But also, you're really solving a lot of problems when you go into question mode. The whole point is, by the time I'm talking to them about what package they should buy, I've already got them pinned down through the questions and what we're doing and what they want out of their car. That way I can overcome an objection, right? The only way to overcome an objection is to have an answer that they gave you, right? So let's say they said, oh, your 3-year package is too much. Well, hey, Mrs. Smith, you told me you're going to keep the car 3 years. You keep all your cars exactly 3 years. That's why I suggested this package. We certainly have a 1 and 2 year coating, but again, I want to ask, don't you want your car protected for the whole 3 years? Right? But I only got the 3-year answer by knowing how long she keeps the car. And so this is where you get into, we all get price objections, but the way to solve price objections is to have the most information you can about what matters to that customer. So a lot of guys can't overcome objections because they didn't gather enough information, right? Or they don't have enough flexibility in their packages to lower them to another package. And this is why Uno should be a part of your arsenal, because if somebody really just wants something affordable, you can do a 1-step in Uno, you can do a wash clay in Uno. It's a 1-year coating. It gets them in the door. You don't lose the job. And hey, guess what? I'm going to see them yearly or try to see them yearly. And at the end of the day, I have something to lower them down to. And too many guys just have a 5-year package, or I have a 9-year package, or I have a 7-year package. Well, you don't have anything for those people that are constantly going to give you price objections. So it's a mixture of your packages giving you somewhere to go and offer them something a little bit more affordable for them, as well as talking and saying the things in a way during the question process that allow you to have success. And so objections happen because you haven't extracted enough information from that customer.
Yep. All right, cool. So there's another post that you and I were sent, and so I got to retract what I said last. No, this would be it, right? How to, right? This is going to be the final how to. And I really enjoy this, and this kind of got a twofold discussion out of it, because we were sent a post about a kid that he's a detailer wanting to sell some stuff and be active doing other things inside of the industry. So first of all, as another guy who enjoys cleaning cars and getting paid for it, and also having other ideas that come into my mind and seeing opportunities in the industry to create new forms of business, new things that we can go after, I immediately give my hat and tip it off to the guy, right? Like I can see this and go, yeah, man, I love it. I really like that. That right there is a differentiator among people, though, because you've got a kid, a young guy, I don't know, call him 30, so he's a man, who knows? I don't know, whatever you want to put a title on him. There's somebody that had an idea and began to take the steps to bring it into fruition. We have this term that we like to say is we see somebody and there we go, yeah, he took the bull by the horns, right? He took it and he ran with it. Let's first of all, before we get into some other stuff, let's put it in neutral right there and rev our engine a little bit on that for a moment, because wow, there's plenty of people that you and I talk to, or plenty of people that we have known in the industry, and we're like, dude, if you just take the bull by the horns, dude, if you just take this step, dude, if you would just go.
Yep. Just hit the gas pedal.
Just hit the gas.
I mean, paralysis by analysis is one of the major factors in failing in business, right? You do need to analyze what you're about to do, but you also need to be able to say, okay, nothing's ever going to be perfect. I got to go. I got to give this a shot. I got to put my energy behind it. I cheer that stuff on. Starting a business is not easy. Again, we share the statistics, 8 out of 10 fail. There's a variety of reasons why they fail. A lot of people just don't get off the couch and do something, right? That's a portion of the failure. They're scared what people are going to think, or they're scared that this might happen or that might happen. And guess what? Yeah, that's all going to happen. It's going to happen.
So, and it does, right? How many times have people gave their opinion to you? And it happens to me on a regular basis. Oh, I think you should do this, or oh, you should have done that. It's like, okay, that's really my response.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, everybody's always going to give their opinion, right? Your family's going to give their opinion. Your mom's going to give their opinion. Your dad's going to give their opinion. Everybody's going to give you opinion. Outsiders are going to give you your opinion. If they're good, valuable people, listen to the opinion. If they're not, you got to move on.
Is there something that you did to kind of create that filter? Others would say thick skin, but the way you just described it, it's almost more like a filter.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. Not at first. When I was first in business, I thought everybody was valuable. I soon found out that is very rare to find valuable people to listen to. And so I don't enter into the conversation skeptical anymore. I just enter into it like, if I get a red flag, I'm out. That's kind of my filter, is like, if this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about, but he actually doesn't, it's like, hey man, I'm going to be polite and nice, and I'm going to get off the call, or I'm going to end the discussion at the holiday party or whatever it is. Yeah, filter's probably a good word. I mean, there's a lot of people that they think everybody should have an opinion. And when it comes to running your business, especially something new, you're going to have everybody tell you shouldn't do it. Everybody that I ever talked to, whether it was getting involved with hyperCLEAN or VR or other investments I made, I had so many people tell me, shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that, shouldn't do this. You don't understand. What I came to find out is they've never actually done it. So how do they know what I should do or not do? That doesn't mean that I don't listen to people. That doesn't mean I don't have an open mind, because some people do have good input. You largely can understand if somebody has good input, though, by the way they talk. If it's just always like, don't do this, don't do that, you guys should do this, it's largely not valuable, right? So I think today where I'm at is I'm always just looking for valuable people, meaning they have something to give. They understand how this business ownership thing works. And for you guys starting your new venture, the formula of listening to somebody is, have they kind of done something on their own, right? Have they had some success? And I'm not talking about being millions of dollars. I'm just saying, hey, this guy is thoughtful and gives me some good feedback and things like that. But yeah, filter's probably the best word. I mean, where I'm at today, it takes a lot for me to value somebody's opinion, because I realize a lot of people just love misery. And if they're miserable, they're going to try to make you miserable. And that's a real sad thing, but it's a real true thing, especially those that hate their job. You may not know they hate their job, but they do by the way they talk and the way they carry themselves. And they're always talking about their retirement. And they're always talking. It's like, you and I deal with that all the time. And so grabbing the bull by the horns means you do have a plan, but you can't sit and overanalyze. You're going to make a ton of mistakes. There's a lot more negative from inaction than taking some action.
That would be an interesting thing to kind of think about for a second. Let's say that again, huh? There's a lot more negative that comes from inaction. Is that what you said?
Yeah, than taking some action. I mean, look, I've had that. I mean, you've made that mistake. We've all made that mistake, right? You sat around and you're just like, oh, well, I could have done this and I should do that and blah, 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 but you didn't. And then 6 months down the road, you end up doing that thing that you knew 6 months before. That happens in hyperCLEAN, happens in every business, happens in VR, happens everywhere, right? Where you had an idea a year ago and you're like, we should have done this a year ago. Here we are. Now we got to do it. And you're like, we should have just done it a year ago. Well, we kind of lost because of inaction. Doesn't mean we lost forever. It just means you end up looking at things. There's a very fine balance. I guess this is what I'm getting at. There's a fine balance of this. You do want to plan things, but you got to know when to cut the planning off and go. And that's a real hard thing for people to find the balance of. It's hard for everybody, but that's when you become great at business and have more success, is when you realize, we're going to plan this and then we're going to go. Not plan, then another plan, then another plan, then another plan, and now you're 8 months down the road, nothing's happened, right? So that's the way I fall out on it.
So there is definitely this segment of the population that is the overplanner, that I would say the overplanner really isn't comfortable with failing. And none of us should be, it's not like we should be like, hell yeah, I just failed today, right? Like, not that comfortable, but comfortable with knowing that, hey, there's a great chance that this might not succeed. And you could then just still put some butts, right? Like,
or it might not go to plan. You got to just be okay that some things aren't going to go to your plan. That doesn't mean you failed yet, right? I think that's where the inaction.
Good point. Good point. So, in a sense, from what you're saying, we could use that. When people say, "Hey, I might lose the battle, but I didn't lose the war," right? Like you could take that theory in a sense of what you're talking about. We saw Daniel go out to another car show this weekend, which was awesome to have him, out at another show, right? Out again is while others didn't. Right?
Yep.
Others didn't go out again. What do you think holds people back? Is it that they might, and good point that you mentioned failure at this point isn't mean like failure out of business, but hearing no from somebody, not getting the yes, not getting the sale. Do you think it's really that holds people back?
Well, I think you have a couple things. I mean, I think a lot of people get paralysis by analysis because they don't want to do the work. Right? Daniel had to go to the car show. He had to set up. He had to give his time. He had to do what he needed to do. A lot of people just get paralysis because they don't actually want to do the work, right? They start to know and do their plan. And they're like, well, that means I'm at this place. And, I got to put in this much work and I got to do it this often. And wow, that's a lot of work. And so they just tell themselves, I'm not going to do that. They may not say those words to themselves, but they keep analyzing, thinking they're doing good, but they just really haven't admitted to themselves, hey, man, I don't want to put in the work necessary, which I think is a large percentage. The other part is, I think people think they're going to get to a place of perfect. I got news for you. There is no such thing. I mean, VR even today is not in a perfect place. I mean, we still deal with headaches and problems and issues, and you just accept what this whole business thing is, which is why I think a lot of people, it's not made for them, right? I mean, I don't want to keep harping on that, but you got to know your personality. If you're the kind of person that's going to get offended because somebody shuts the door in your face, this business thing ain't for you. I got news for you. I still get the door shut in my face at hyperCLEAN and VR, and people tell me why they're not going to use us and they're not going to do this, and that's okay. Doesn't bother me. Doesn't make me have a bad day. It's okay. I have something valuable to sell. I've sold it to enough people at VR and hyperCLEAN, and I move on to the next. So the fear of all of this, I think that's a big reason. But I also think people kid themselves that they're a hard worker. It's the combination of the two. You're not going to go out on a Saturday morning because you know what? You don't really enjoy cars. You've lied to yourself about that. I mean, you've met a lot of detailers, man. I've met a lot of detailers in my life that aren't car people. The vast majority aren't. They tell themselves they are, but are they going to a Cars and Coffee if they're not a detailer? No, because they're not going to one as a detailer. Are they going to check out cars? Are they researching cars? Are they into cars? A lot of people fool themselves. And so, I mean, the inaction thing, I've been guilty of it. You've been guilty of it. Everyone in business has been guilty of it. But when you're at the start, that inaction means you're just not going to stay in business. When I do inaction now, my businesses are rolling to a point where I'm going to get over that. But at the beginning of my business, if I did that tons of inaction, I would have never been here. So there's also times in your business where things have a harsher effect, right? So if you're starting a new venture, inaction at that point is not an option. You don't have anything rolling, right? You don't have any momentum. So inaction's really, really damaging at the beginning of your business.
So a great episode that you and I just did, you mentioned it earlier, was with Brian, and we were talking through some trainings. I mentioned something that I know he would, definitely understand because of how much stuff he does with his daughters and what they do with softball. As a baseball player, and then is also teaching my daughter how to play softball, there's a term that really does go far, and it's you need at bats. Like, I mean, the way you learn how to hit the ball better, farther, and more often, and to get on base is by getting at bats. So that you can understand when you hit the ball wrong, if you took a step the wrong way, if you pivoted the wrong way, maybe you flipped your hips too early, right? Whatever it is, you need to know what it is that you're doing wrong so that you can correct it. At bats, in this particular thing is what everybody needs. If we sit around and not go after something that we have an idea on, well, then we get to the point of, and this is a tough one. This really, really is a tough one for me as I look through inside of a group, as as I've had to have some problems with my body and as my body's continued to climb. But there's a lot of people that deal with body pains and body things, and they just go, oh man, I wish I could get back to the way I was.
Yeah.
Oh, what are we like in 10 years and 15 years to look back and go, what if I really wish I would have? Like, oh, that's the brutal part of life. Brutal.
Yeah. I mean, it's everything, right? I mean, there's no part of your life where inaction is a good thing, right? Visiting the doctor. Every guy listening to this hates to visit the doctor. You don't get some checkups, man. Things can go untested. We've had some things in multiple parts of my family where we got news that somebody went in for a checkup and there's some cancer growing in some places it shouldn't be, obviously. And look, if they didn't get the checkup, they could just turn up one day and it's over, right? You got to take some action. And I think when it comes to business, man, that's a really hard thing to tell people because it's a scary world. People are going to shut the door in your face and tell you you're an idiot and you don't know what you're talking about. And no, I'm not buying from you. And you're ripping people off. And let me tell you, man, that stuff's real uneasy, right? It's a really uneasy thing that business owners have to deal with, which is people are going to say no. People are going to doubt you. And look, you also need to know when to hang it up. You've given your best effort and this thing ain't working. But in the meantime, you got to put in the effort. And that's a hard thing for guys to get over.
All right, so here's the other part that we wanted to talk about. This is the other part of the how-to, right? This is where it becomes, all right, so if anybody is inside of a post and you see people talking about what really is the answer, right? Or, how to know if someone doesn't know, right? There it is. How do we know if someone doesn't really know?
Well, the truth is, I think that's hard for guys getting their start. That's why we see detailing Facebook groups turn so toxic, is because you have a lot of people talking about things that they don't know about. One of the posts that somebody shared with me over the weekend was, a guy was in a group just trying to sell some detail brushes. He wasn't selling nuclear secrets. He was selling a couple detailing brushes. And there's 30 to 40 comments and all of them are negative. I can get these cheaper on Amazon and you don't know what you're doing. And all you're doing is buying them and reselling them and blah, blah, blah. And it's just negative. After the guy's post was really respectful. Hey, if it's not allowed in this group and just want to share some brushes that I found that I'm selling. And you just kind of look around and you go, I read through these comments and I go, these people don't know how this thing works. Because people are like, all you're doing is you're buying them for $1 and you're selling them for $50. And it's like, well, he wasn't even doing that. Like you didn't even take time to research the link he put there. And oh, by the way, I'm sure you're supporting some microfiber company you like, whichever one it is. They don't make anything. There's no microfiber plant in the back of their warehouse, people weaving up microfiber towels or making brushes or any of that kind of stuff. So on the accessory side of detailing, let me be very clear. Everybody's buying it from one of 4 factories and it's in an Asian country. It's not in America and it's okay. But the way people don't know what they're talking about is they're even commenting negatively on these posts. What is the win there? You're going to show everybody how this thing works and I'm going to show you the secrets. It's like, I don't even think you know the secrets because everything you just said is not exactly true. I don't understand that kind of hatred. Like the guy's just selling a couple detail brushes, man. He's not asking you for $40,000. It's $20. Yeah, I can find them for $2 cheaper.
It's the one-up guy, that wants to go into the groups and one-up the guy that's trying to do something. He probably feels insecure because he's not doing as much as he wishes he could do. I think that's the other part that I read into these guys that go in and they want to tell everybody how to do it. And even though they weren't the ones that actually tried to do it, They're
Yeah.
just the Monday morning quarterback, right?
Yeah.
They're the guy on the couch that's just lobbing their comments at the referee. Like, God damn it, referee, that's terrible, right? Like, it's the same guy, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it and I just go, we've talked a lot this year about win-win. We've talked a lot this year about mindset. Winners aren't making those comments on posts. They're just not. I mean, successful people aren't doing that. They're just looking at the guy and going, oh, okay, he's buying some brushes and trying to resell them. Maybe he found something. Maybe he didn't. But you and I, if I'm not buying it, what do I need to give the guy negative feedback on a Facebook post? Oh, you posted these pictures and it's not the right pictures and you're trying to catfish people. And I looked at the post. I'm like, it's some detail brushes. Is it any more difficult than that? But you see all these people, and I like what you say. It's the one-up guy. I want to show you I know what I'm talking about. We've dealt with this a little bit behind the scenes at hyperCLEAN. These guys that think they need to know all this information and they need to know all this stuff to go out there and sell a bottle of slick. And they think that in their head they have it. I need to know these things because people are going to ask me these questions. And you and I have literally responded to people and said, that's never been asked in the history of anything. But they want to believe they're outsmarting everybody. And I think that's what you see in Facebook groups. I mean, one of the things I'm proud of with the specialist group is that stuff just doesn't go on. It's a helpful group and guys support each other and answer questions and people aren't disrespectful. But a guy's trying to sell a set of 3 detail brushes for $19. Do you think he's sitting on a yacht somewhere because you bought those brushes or you didn't buy those brushes, or your comment telling everybody how it works in your opinion, which, by the way, when I read through them, isn't even correct. And so that means these people can never buy detail brushes because exactly how this guy's doing business is how everyone else purchases detail brushes. So what you're telling me is you can never purchase a detail brush because you don't want people to get over on you for $20 on these detail brushes, which, by the way, if you take care of them, last you like 5 years. So they're getting over on you for $4 a year. Somebody's sitting on their yacht somewhere because you gave them $4 a year. But then you ask yourself a bigger question that we try to bring to our group that listens to us. Is that a winner's mindset? That a guy's in a group just trying to earn a buck and doing so in a respectful way? There's people that do it in a disrespectful way, and I understand the frustration. You read this guy's post, it was nothing but respectful. He wasn't trying to get over on anybody. He was just a guy trying to earn a buck, which, by the way, everybody in this group is supposed to be business owners that love detailing cars. So you want somebody to pay you, but you don't want to support this guy. And instead of supporting him, you actually bash him in the comments when he's done nothing but be respectful. Now, if he was a jerk, I'd have a different comment for you. That's not what this was it, Marty?
No, he's a nice guy, definitely.
Yeah.
And it was cool that he took a step out and tried to do something. And that we all know that there's these idiots, right? We always know there's idiots that are going to lob stuff out there. And I think that's part of why I wanted to kind of come back to it is there's listeners that have an idea. There's listeners that are really wanting to do something that could be hyperCLEAN distribution. They're seeing the car shows. They're seeing the cars. It could be, hey, I want to put on ceramic coating and I want to start making videos talking to people about me putting on hyperCLEAN ceramic coating. Like, there's not that many detailers out there that are putting themselves on camera and putting themselves out there, but they know that they should. They know that they should do more, quote unquote, if you want to call it social media marketing, right? But they just want to complain then that, oh, I do this, right? Okay, you know that you should be doing it. Why aren't you? And I think there's a lot of these guys that they're something inside of them is hesitant. It's maybe even a little bit scared because they feel that anxiety of the people that are going to tell them negative things about what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and I'll put everybody's mind at ease. One of the things that helped me get over all this is understand something. You're going to wake up in the morning and 50% of people aren't going to like you. They're just not going to like you. They don't like the way you look. They don't like the clothes you wear. They don't like how you speak. They just don't like you. So if I already know 50% of the population is not going to like me for whatever silly reason, oh well, brush it off. I know that's a reality of life. And by the way, that's probably a pretty accurate number. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to do business with you. Not everybody's going to be joyous about what you're doing. That's okay. They have every right not to buy from hyperCLEAN or VR, and they have every right to have their opinion. But I always think that if you're doing the right things and you're out there giving your best effort and you're pretty open with people, you're going to find the 5 to 10% of people you need to build a successful business. Because remember, you can become a millionaire off 1% of the market. You can become a millionaire off 1% of the market. You don't need 75% of people to buy from you. But that also means 99% of people are going to shut the door in your face. Are you okay with that to find the 1% that gets you to your goal? If you are, this thing's for you. You'll make it. You'll have tough times, but you're right. I mean, look, I struggled with this when we first had this podcast. I really had rabbit ears, man. When people would say negative stuff, it bothered me. Today, it's like they're listening, right? Like, sorry you didn't like what I said. I mean, if I stepped over a line, I'll listen to you. But if you just don't like me because I'm me, that's okay. I'm not for everybody. And you're not for everybody. And this guy over here is not for everybody. It's all right. You know, Howard Stern wasn't for everybody. He made $1 gazillion. Joe Rogan is not for everybody. Think about this. Joe Rogan gets about 10 million listens on an episode. There's billions of people around the globe. He didn't need billions of people to listen to make a lot of money. He just needed a few people that liked him. And so many people are scared because they believe everybody likes them. Well, if you just wake up in the morning and say, hey, man, 50% of people aren't going to like me just because they don't like my hair or whatever, it's a lot more comfortable place. You don't need to make friends with everybody. You just go out and do your thing, man. Do it your way. And if it doesn't work, start over again. You know, start at the drawing board again. Was it the way I talked? Was it the way I carried myself? That's what people are really unwilling to do. And that's why they fail. Because they aren't willing to say, I've made some mistakes, I got to fix them. But that's the other part of the story. Once you step out there, there are going to be people that give you valuable information and say, hey, man, you're kind of struggling because of this, this, and this. And that goes back to the filter thing. When valuable people give you a feedback, you better listen to them because they're usually not jerks. They're usually like, hey, man, I'm just trying to give you 2 cents here. And, you know, you and I have been part of a lot of those conversations where we watch people struggle and fail, and we have no animosity towards them. We only want to see good things of them, but they choose not to listen. So they actually failed from inaction and not listening. And Brian said that a lot on our episode on Saturday. For everybody who hasn't listened to that training episode, there's a lot more business in there than just talking about detailing training, where I think we all come to the realization there also could be a big listening problem in the detailing culture today.
Absolutely. So why don't everybody just pause? If you haven't listened to that episode, you will get to listen to it next. So hope you guys
We'll put
enjoy.
a link in the bio. Well, I appreciate it, man. Great episode. I'll talk to you guys next week.
See you guys.